Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of Nerds with Friends. My name is Cody Leach, and as always, I'm joined by my side hoe, Christian Garcia.
Chillo.
Chillo.
I prefer the bottom bitch.
Bottom bitch. Well, it'd be nice if you were the bottom bitch, but there's one higher than you in the pecking order. We're coming to you from lovely 148 Studios here, surrounded by our multiple collectible toys.
All of it's mine.
It's definitely, it's probably quite a few thousands of dollars worth of collectibles between yours, mine, and Rick's stuff.
We don't give out the address, right? No one knows.
No.
It's fine.
You can Google it.
Stop giving them ideas.
Just kidding. But thank you guys for tuning in every week, liking and subscribing, checking out our information at nerdswithfriendspodcast.com. All of our Twitter, Instagram, and Facebooks are all on there. And of course, checking out patreon.com/nerdswithfriends, where you can support the show. Only takes $1 or $2 a month, and you get some cool interactive rewards and stuff.
We've already got some. I don't know if you saw the...
Yep, we did. We got to announce our new patrons, actually.
Yes.
Yeah, so Michael Storenka, who's a longtime friend of mine, and Mark Abbey Samra, also a friend of mine from a while ago. Mark, fun fact, actually did the original theme song for the show. This one here. You know, and we had that running for 7 or 8 years. So yeah, they are both patrons as well. I now have to figure out how to put the credits at the end of the show, but it shouldn't be too hard. I think I got it. But you can be a patron too, and you get a shout out on the show at the very minimum. But there's also some cool rewards in there too, including, Discord chat with us, coming up with topics for episodes, which, the topic for tonight, we're going to be talking about the crime scene Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel, new Netflix true crime documentary. But if you're like, hey, I don't want you guys to talk about that. I want you guys to talk about pup play, where people pretend to be dogs and fuck each other. I'll be like, okay.
Is that a thing?
That's
sure.
totally...
Why did I ask? I'm not sure.
Yeah, you want to see my browser history? It's fucking crazy. Then we would do an episode on pup play. I don't know if it would be any good, but you paid for it, so that's on you guys. So check it out, patreon.com/nerdswithfriends, and support the show. We appreciate you, our patrons. Oh my God, Christian. Let's start the show with some nerdy confessions, as we always do, where we confess things that make us nerds. Do you have a good one this week?
Actually, I was going to talk about the Spider-Man cover, but, I was reading... Did we talk about Gina Carano being...
No, I don't think we did, actually.
Where Disney was just like, the fuck out of here.
That was an interesting sound.
So...
Did they kiss her goodbye?
Yeah, they were like... It was a kiss of death from the mouse himself.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure everyone knows she's got outed. She's no longer going to be Cara Dune. And, some people are saying, well, it wasn't that bad, what she had written. And other people were like, you can't compare your strife with the comparison of Jews. I think it's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, it's definitely not the first comparison I reach for whenever trying to describe something. Even if it's really you think it's really appropriate, it's probably not.
No. And so she wrote, and it was a horrific photo of a woman being thrown. I think they're
chased down the street.
And she was half naked. And, she says Nazi Germany didn't, it wasn't the Nazi Germans who did this. It was their neighbors, and the government got them to turn against their own fellow man.
Right.
And what's the difference between that and being hated for your political views, which she was talking about herself and Republicans.
Sure.
It's you really think Republicans are being treated like Jews? That's where it was come on.
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
It wasn't. Also wasn't her first strike. The other one where she had put on pronouns on Twitter. People put he, how they want to be referred
Zimzer, he, she, sure. No, not she, sure. Damn it, that one always trips me up. She, her, Hershey.
Hershey kisses.
Yeah, that's a good one. I never put that together.
Yeah, so she had
him.
She had put beep boop bop, and obviously clowning. And Disney actually told her hey, you need to apologize. This is the exact way we want you to apologize. And she was like, no. And instead, I'll apologize my own way. And she did that. And that's the one that actually got her kicked off the future series. I didn't know this. I just found out.
Oh, interesting.
So the series that's going to come out,
Rangers of the New Republic.
yeah, Disney was like, you're not going to be in that.
Yeah.
They're like, you're out because she didn't apologize. But this last one is the one that got her off of Mandalorian. Where they were like, nah, you're fucking done. Everything with us.
Yeah, it's, it's definitely I can see why people are upset, on both sides. I can see that, like, I think that the comparison she made was not great, and definitely insensitive, especially when it comes to, the Nazi Germany tweet. But I can also see where people are upset because, at the end of the day, it is Twitter, and that just kind of ruined her entire career. At least, for the foreseeable future. She's going to be kind of,
she's got this is her
stank
dream,
on her now.
Her dream came true, and now she's going to do a movie with Ben Shapiro.
Yeah, I saw that.
So fucking her career just skyrocketed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people are going to see that shit, just out of sheer curiosity.
Yeah, but like my thing, so my confession is like I agree. I don't usually like agreeing with people losing their jobs over words, but I get it for Disney. At the end of the day, like they have to keep their fans happy, and if you got someone who's just consistently saying shit, and you tell them, "Hey, don't do that," or "Please apologize this way," and you're like, "Nah." Like, where the fuck did she get the balls to think that she could go up against Disney?
Yeah, I think, because this gets into a conversation about cancel culture and whether or not we're heading in a dangerous direction with that, which I don't know. I think for the most part, a lot of it has been in the right lane, sort of, I should say, where like most of these people getting canceled really have done shitty things. Like, at least from what we've seen and the evidence we've seen. And we'll get into it later, but evidence can be deceiving when we get into the Cecil Hotel. But I think that it's, I think big movie studios definitely need to have a bigger part in like having them sign like contracts regarding their social media, because stuff like this where it's her personal account, it's not Cara Dune's account, right?
But still, she's an employee of Disney.
Right. So there needs to be stipulations in these contracts saying, hey, while you are employed with us, we can say, hey, and maybe there is something that says, hey, while you're with us, we can veto any of your social media that we disapprove of.
But to me, like, it just proves she's an idiot. I mean, there's no other way of putting it. You're a fucking idiot. If the guys who are giving you your paychecks are like, hey, don't do this.
Yeah.
Why the fuck would you want to leave Disney?
Right.
In particular, they're doing so fucking well with their shows in Star Wars. Like, if they were like, hey, don't do that, all right, I guess I could say my political shit some other time. You just shut the fuck up.
Yeah, shut the fuck up until season 3 of Mandalorian is done.
Because I actually liked their character.
Yeah, I did too.
I thought she was cool.
And I get it, like, I also get her side of things where she stood up for what she believes in, even if I don't necessarily agree what she believes in. So it's one of those things. It's just, I think it's fine. I think that, her losing that show spot is, I think it's a good thing in the long run, but I don't like the mob rule mentality of people saying, the hashtag fire Gina Carano. I don't like the thought that is what made Disney do this.
I don't think
if it's someone at Disney is like, dude, fuck, what the fuck is she doing? And they're like, we need to talk about this together. And they came to a decision. I'm cool with that.
I feel very confident that it wasn't the hashtag that got her. It was very much, dude, she's comparing herself to Jews. Like, nah, that's fucking, that's it.
We had enough of that with Walt Disney.
Yeah.
Walt Disney was not a fan of the Jewish people.
No. Not so much.
Not at all.
Honestly, and that's a good business decision. They're like, yo, we have a fucking history of this shit.
Exactly.
So maybe.
They're probably a little bit more sensitive than most companies. They were like, we need to. The anti-Semitic stuff almost buried us in the 50s.
Psych. Gone.
Yeah.
Fuck out of here. And Rush Limbaugh just got canceled too. By God. He's just...
What happened?
He died.
Oh, cool.
You didn't know?
I didn't know that. I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Dead.
Fuck that guy.
It was funny because I was reading an article on NPR and like they weren't even trying to say he wasn't a racist, a bigot, and had said some fucking terrible shit. They just like
Hell got one of their own back today.
it was just funny. Like they were just like, "Hey, let's list all the garbage things he's fucking done." And I was like, "Wow, NPR! Like,
Yeah.
I love it."
Yeah, NPR was not a fan. He definitely goes against what they're all about for sure. Oh, well, good riddance.
Well, it brought news to Cody. You know?
Yeah, that's good. That's good. That's how I get my news. Secondhand, most of the time. My nerdy confession. I just finished the entire series now, because I was a couple seasons behind, of The Magicians. Have you seen that one?
No, I saw like
Netflix.
What? No, I'm thinking of a different show. No, I have not.
So it's based on a book by Lev Grossman.
Is this another teen? You're trying to lure me, put me on a list of some kind of pedophiles?
No, it's not as bad as Winx, or what was it called? Fate, the Winx saga. It's not that teen drama. I mean, there are teens. It's kind of a play on Harry Potter. That kind of story where it's about some college students, because I think it's a college university that they go to, for magic and magicians. And there's this guy, Quentin Coldwater, who basically didn't know he was a magician, and he shows up to like some, he finds like some flyer for some university, and he gets pulled in, and it's a magic test, and he finds out that he's a magician. And it kind of follows him and his friends through these adventures. And it's like, the books were awesome. They kind of play on like the chosen one archetype of, like, say, Harry Potter, or Star Wars, what have you, where like Harry Potter was destined for greatness. He didn't know it, but he was. Like, he survived Voldemort with the little lightning bolt thing. He was always going to become one of the greatest wizards of our time, or whatever. Quentin Coldwater, even though he's the main character of the book, is not the best magician. He doesn't solve all the problems. He doesn't like get them out of every situation. He sometimes gets them into worse situations. So it's kind of a cool like turning that genre on its head. And the show is very, very, like, it's close to the books in the right ways, but it's also different enough where you can watch the seasons that are based on the books and not know what's going to happen next. Like, certain characters are kind of changed and events are changed here and there. But yeah, I just finished the series. I think there was 6 or 5 total seasons, I think. And it was a really good ending. There was,
Oh, like the whole show's done.
The whole show's done. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think they announced that it will not be returning for a 6th season. So the ending came a little abruptly. So maybe they got caught off guard by a little bit, but, I think it was a good ending to the series, and I think everyone should go watch The Magicians. There's some really funny moments, because it's a mature show. So, I mean, there's like, lots of like dick jokes and shit like that. And part of the premise of the show is,
You should have led with that, man.
Yeah.
You should have started with dick jokes. I would have
There's
been
dick jokes, hot ladies with huge titties.
Oh.
Yeah. All your favorite things.
So now I have to finish Sinner and Strain, and then I'll go.
Yeah,
that next.
check it out. It's a good show. Yeah, it's one thing that that's pretty cool about it is there's these children's books called Fillory and Further, which are supposed to be like the Chronicles of Narnia in this universe.
Okay.
And Quentin's a big fan of it, and they end up finding out that it's a real land that they go to through these like grandfather clocks they walk through instead of the wardrobe in Narnia.
Or the doors in the Dark Tower.
In the Dark Tower, yep. Mm-hmm. So, but when they get there, they realize that the children's books kind of like watered down exactly where this magical land is. Because there's things like, they get there and they're like, oh my God, I just feel so good here for some reason. They're like, oh yeah, well there's like a hint of opium just in the air around you. We're like, what? It's like, yeah, you're just breathing in
You're just
heroin
high all day.
And like there's like talking animals and stuff like that, but then you find out that like centaurs do like blood sacrifices and stuff. Like all sorts of weird things. Like there's animals fucking each other and talking and
Yeah, I
stuff.
mean, that's how you get centaurs.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But yeah, definitely worth a watch. I thought it was a really good show, and I thought all the actors and stuff were really, really well cast. They really matched up with what I thought in the books. So check it out. The
I'm down.
Magicians. Yeah, it's a sci-fi show.
Okay.
From Sci-Fi Network or channel.
Fuck, I don't have to get another streaming service to watch it, right?
Nope, it's on Netflix.
Okay.
All of it is on Netflix. All right. Well, we are going to take a teensy break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk about crime scene vanishing at the Cecil Hotel. So we will be right back. And we're back. All right, Christian. You know I love a good crime doc.
I've never been so fucking pissed off at a documentary series. It made me so mad on different parts, and we could get into it as we go on. But I followed this case like when it started.
So refresh people's memories of what the case is. And we'll do spoiler alert, even though the actual case happened like 3-4 years ago.
No, like 7, 8.
2017, right?
No, 13.
13?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Sometimes I get 3s and 7s mixed up in my head.
So Elisa Lam from Canada.
We come from Canada.
She was about to go to college, or she was in college,
Yep.
and she wanted to travel. Her parents never let her go out. And in the doc, they don't mention it, and that's another thing that kind of pissed me off. Like, and I get it, you're trying to entertain people along with trying to tell the information. But she had, I don't remember her mental
Bipolar disorder.
Yes, bipolar.
And famously, on our true crime episode that we did a bunch of different true crime docs that we talked about. Famously, there was the staircase where the whole crazy part about that whole case was that the defense was that the lady got attacked by an owl, and that's oh, the husband didn't murder her, an owl did, and they glossed over that in the documentary. Like, if you're doing a documentary, focus on what's actually going on.
And I get it, you wanted this really could have been a one episode where they gave everything and they stretched it out
like a
to
movie,
4. Yeah.
like a 2 hour or an hour and 45 minute documentary film.
Right, but they stretched it out to 4.
4 1 hour episodes.
And the whole reason they
minutes.
Stretched it out was because these fucking web sleuths, these terrible fucking people, had stupid theories, and the documentary basically was giving information of why possibly they should believe these stupid ass theories. And that was kind of
it was the best.
So she came from Canada. She traveled here. She had managed to make it, I believe, to San Diego, LA, and I think next she was gonna go to Santa Cruz. And
Santa Cruz and San Francisco.
Yeah, and she ended up missing. And the last person who saw her was someone at a bookstore. And there was really no evidence. The cops had nothing to go on, which up to that part, I thought was interesting. And again, I've been studying the case or reading about the case when it actually happened.
Sleuthing,
yes,
if you will.
But I never came up with a stupid ass fucking theory. Now, what set everyone wild, and I will say when I watched the video, it was a little creepy. But there's about a 3 to 4 minute video of her pressing all the buttons on the elevator, stepping in and out, looking around and kind of making gestures like she's talking to someone. And this is where it just went fucking bananas and the world just went insane. People were saying she was possessed. People were saying she was seeing a ghost. People were saying she was being followed. And I'm like, no, watching the videos that does. And before I even knew her mental illness, I was like, that seems to me like someone who possibly is having a breakdown. Or
because I caught wind of the case back then with that video because I saw it on Facebook or whatever, just like everyone else. And as soon as I saw it, I'm like, oh, she's either high on drugs or having some sort of mental break.
Yes.
And it was
But people were jumping to ghosts, and she was fucking
oh,
possessed.
It's the fucking devil.
Yeah,
the devil did it. Now it would have been really creepy if she hit all the buttons and then looked up at the camera. I would have lost my shit on that one. I'd have been like, oh fuck, oh she knows we're here.
Yeah,
but that didn't happen.
It
wasn't that creepy.
Then she leaves, and she's never seen again. Now that is a great setup for a mystery. She's never seen again. There's no hints, and eventually, I'll just tell you right now, we're not going to stretch this out till the end to find out. She ends up being found by my uncle who works there. No, he wasn't my uncle, but
He looks a lot like my Uncle Frank.
really?
Yeah.
So little paisa, little Latino dude. People were essentially tasting some weird stuff in the water.
Yeah.
And it was coming out kind of weird. People were showering in it, brushing their teeth, drinking it. So they send my tío up there to go check it out, and he
means
finds...
uncle in Spanish.
Yes.
For any of you white folk who don't know Spanish, you should really learn. I mean, come on.
And he finds her there, naked. Now, this
floating in the tank, dead.
Yeah, she's dead.
You should
Oh,
also
sorry.
say. She wasn't just chilling up there naked.
Yeah, because I feel like the case is so popular in my mind, like anyone who doesn't know it, like where the fuck you've been.
Yeah.
So, and now this is also what threw everyone the fuck off. If for whatever reason it just became like people believed that the lid was closed.
Yeah. So the lid on top of the tank, you know, it's not a lid that opens up on a hinge.
No, it was like
it's a big plate basically. So you can't slide it one way or the other from inside. You'd have to lift it up and move it off.
Yeah.
And lift it up and move it on to close it. So everyone, I think the police chief or something had mistakenly said
someone. It
doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter
because the police knew the right thing the whole time, but the web sleuths thought that it was closed. So they're like, how could this little girl down in this water lift it on and close it herself? And why would she take all of her clothes off?
And that's the thing is that like people were like jumping to stupid ass conclusions, only searching for evidence that fit their conclusion.
Right.
And like it was just ridiculous. I was so pissed off just listening to people like say these things. And they were like without evidence saying she was raped. And then the evidence came out actually that Kate said no, that she wasn't. It's like, well, what the fuck can he know? Everything I've studied like as a web sleuth says that it's like it could be otherwise. Like, see, like you're just fishing for shit.
My favorite part of the web sleuths is like when they give their little introductions, because one guy's like, "Hi, my name is so and so, and I would describe myself as a YouTuber."
I know what you're talking about.
Just like, ugh. First of all, gross. The way he said it was just like, oh, God, shut up. And then the second of all, like he got his start on YouTube by finding a viral video and then taking that viral video, putting it in the background of him talking about said viral video and thus going viral himself, you know, as more and more people found out about the case. And he starts a lot of these theories and stuff. And the other guy's like, another guy who gets interviewed is like, oh yeah, so I was between jobs at the time, going to school to be a dental assistant. And, you know, just something about it just really touched me. And, you know, and it just grabbed me, and I was like, we could find out what happened to this poor girl. And look, I'm all for like using the crowd to help. We saw in the recent Night Stalker one that by putting his picture and description out there, it actually helped catch the guy, right? Yeah. And there's been other cases where having the public know some information is great. I'm not into it and we'll get into it in a little bit, where they start like interfering and also leaping to their own conclusions, which can in turn harm other people.
And I guess that's another thing that pissed me off about this documentary. I didn't learn anything new.
Yeah.
I guess and we'll get into it in a little bit. And this is why I loved the Night Stalker one. There was a ton of shit. I thought I knew everything about that case.
That one was really good. And I think that one really needed, however 4 or 5 episodes that it was, to explain kind of the gravity of what that guy was doing.
And again, I thought I knew all this crimes, but no, I had no clue about the kid stuff. Like that was all new to me. So
this one, I feel like they really took their time to first explain the history of the Cecil Hotel, which it's like when you walk into it, apparently it looks somewhat fancy, but realistically, it's like one of those hotels in the Tenderloin, where you know you have people just fresh out of jail, prostitutes, people doing drugs, you know, a bunch of like less than savory characters.
And all of that was just
staying there by the week, by the month, who can't afford an apartment kind of thing.
Yeah, and all of that was just to fuel the web sleuth people. Like, this is why they believed it, and maybe you should believe it for a second until we give you the rest.
And I really, like, I don't know if I'm alone in this, but I really felt bad for the lady who's like the manager of the Cecil Hotel. She seems like a very nice Midwestern lady. She sounds like she's from like Minnesota or like Michigan.
But everyone hated her.
Everyone hated her and thought she was like doctoring the footage and stuff.
And it was all because there was a little part, and this part I was like, okay, I could understand why some people are a little pissed off or wondering why. But you do see the elevator door go from like open to it jumps a little bit to like, I don't know, 1/8 closed, and then you see the rest of it closing. So they're saying obviously they're hiding stuff.
Yeah.
I was like, well, no. I mean, it doesn't look like the best quality camera. It could have just been a hiccup. Like, you can't just jump to that conclusion.
Yeah, well, this is like a freaking, like, junky hotel, basically. They probably don't have the most, it was probably recorded on VHS tape. You know what I mean? Or
it could have been like another patron walked in from that side and then like, left. And they're like, okay, maybe we shouldn't put out that person's face. People might jump to it was them and they might have ruled that person out already.
Right,
like,
exactly.
You don't fucking know.
Yeah.
And the other fucking stupid thing, because it was painfully obvious that it wasn't, they were saying when she stepped out, you see someone's foot. It's her fucking foot. It's so clearly her fucking foot. It's so painful.
Like, it doesn't match the shoe she wore. I'm like,
like, what the fuck are you looking at? What do you know?
Yeah, it kind of, I mean, it looks just like her foot.
It would look
she steps out, she's wobbling all over the place, stopping and going back and forth kind of thing. So, yeah, it's so stupid how much conjecture there was. Also, to really pad that runtime, they had people talking about like the history of Skid Row and like what are some of the socioeconomic causes of all these, homeless people and open drug market basically in LA, which, I mean, I guess it's kind of interesting, but had no relevancy to the story at all.
At all.
Like,
it was just more to add to like, it's a shit area. The hotel's in the shit area.
Yeah.
And
it's a shitty hotel where like maybe she went there and, she was expecting this really nice grand hotel and she gets there and you're like, oh, it's kind of a shithole. I did, this is just kind of like an interesting thing. I feel for the manager of the Cecil Hotel. She seemed like she was really trying hard. Where they came up with the stay on Main, which is basically this whole hotel. She was trying to revamp it and make it into a nice hotel again. Right?
It's still in Skid Row.
Yeah, it's still in Skid Row. But there's been cases of people like gentrifying areas and things like that. But she was like, oh, we're going to evict all these people living here who are unsavory and who do drugs and die in the hotel and stuff like that. And we're going to make it fresh again. And the city's like, nope, you can't do that. It's got to be partially low-income housing because it's like coded that way or something. So she's like, okay, I came up with this idea where these 3 floors are going to be stay on Main, a new
it was like a hotel within a hotel,
youth hostel, like fresh new experience. It's going to have a separate lobby where it's like fun. It looks kind of like Virgin Air, where everything's like trendy and or it was orange at that one instead of like bright purple, but bright orange and white, very trendy and young looking, right? To attract, young travelers who needed a cheap place to stay. And then all the other floors are going to be their, junkies and prostitutes and stuff like that. That's the core of it.
Sometimes you just got to share an elevator with them.
Yeah, sometimes you got to share an elevator with them. So I liked like hearing some of that stuff, like how it kind of gave a little flavor as to like why this young girl would stay at the seedy hotel. Yeah. So that makes sense. But the whole thing like, oh yeah, Skid Row, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, I get it. It's a bad part of town.
I will say one of my favorite people, and I wish he had gotten more airtime, was the older black guy. He was the best because he didn't bullshit. He's like, sometimes I worked, sometimes I hustled, and if I had enough money to get some liquor and invite some lady overs, and we'll get it on. It's just like
he's like, sometimes I smoke crack in the room. That's just how we were doing it back then. Just like, man.
Yeah, he was entertaining at least. And he didn't bullshit around. He wasn't like full of himself like the web sleuth people.
Yeah.
And that's the other thing that pissed me off. You could seem almost like they felt like they were going to come out looking good. In the documentary, it's like, no, you're going to look like a garbage fucking person.
Yeah, I think the biggest, one of the biggest problems I had with the web sleuths in general is that it didn't seem so much like they were trying to literally find her and find out what happened to her and bring anyone to justice.
They wanted the mystery.
They wanted the mystery for themselves, and they wanted the credit for having figured it out on their own. And as people who obviously don't have a lot going on in their lives to keep them busy. And, they kind of took, they take our obsession as a society with true crime documentaries, and they took it to the next level.
Yeah. And then they ruined fucking musician's
Morbid.
life. His name was, Justice for Morbid, man.
Justice for Morbid.
We get this guy a fucking show.
So there's this, you come to find out that, that there's a,
musician.
black metal, I think it was Mexican, right?
Yes.
He came from Mexico.
Yes, sir.
A black metal musician from Mexico who had like stayed at the Cecil Hotel, and they're like, yeah, he was there at the same time. And then he did these music videos. And for anyone who doesn't know black metal, some of the imagery is a little morbid.
Yeah.
And that's what this guy, morbid, videos were like, his videos of him like chasing a girl through the woods and like murdering her and stuff like that.
I don't know if he actually murders her in the video, but
well,
they
it's
do
like
cutscenes.
Yeah, there's cutscenes of like blood running down her face and stuff like that, and it's like, everyone's known a metalhead or two in their life, and that most of that stuff's just for show. We've all been to a Guar show,
and so they're just jumping like, he obviously did it. I'm like, well,
he obviously did it.
How?
Listen to the lyrics in this song where it's talking about a girl drowning in the ocean. She was found in a water tank, and it was just like, and he says something about China. She was Chinese. I like all the little what they call them, synchronicities, where like they would be all these weird coincidences. There was a big tuberculosis outbreak on Skid Row. The test for the tuberculosis
right. Oh my God.
is called the Lam Elisa test. And her name is Elisa Lam.
They were like, so obviously
it's a government cover-up by both Canada and the United States.
They were trying to spread tuberculosis to everyone to see how they could control it after. Obviously.
And then, look, I love a coincidence as much as the next guy, and I think that's fucking crazy. What a weird coincidence. But at the end of the day, it's a fucking coincidence.
Yeah.
They're not gonna be like, okay, so we found this test that solves tuberculosis. It's named Elisa Lam. There's only one other lady in the entire world named that. We need to take her out. So let's murder her at this hotel.
Because we need to drop enough breadcrumbs so people can figure out what we did.
People can figure out our little trail. Yeah, what the fuck? Where did you think that was leading? That was so
And the
stupid.
other thing, but this is the thing, like they look for dumbass shit that just connects to something. They also looked, I think, at the zip code of the bookstore that she went to.
Right.
Which when you enter it on Google Maps, show you
British
Canada.
Columbia.
Yeah, and it's like, okay.
Oh.
If you plug that into somewhere else, it'll probably connect to something fucking else. Just because it does, like, doesn't mean that it is what it is.
Well,
like,
I think the big problem is when whether it's solving a crime or doing some sort of like scientific method, when you're trying to test a hypothesis. If you have the result that you want, flat earthers is a good example. If you have the result that you want, flat Earth or Elisa Lam was murdered, then you can find these things that kind of prove your desired outcome, right? But the problem is that you ignore all the other stuff that points to not necessarily the desired outcome.
He's just so fucking dumb, dude. So this guy Morbid, actually almost killed himself, and then he had to be submitted to a psychiatric ward, and he eventually got better, but he got bullied. Because everyone was like, tell him, go kill yourself. Like, you fucking did it. Turn yourself in. Even in China, he was getting messages from China.
Yeah, he found out, it was on a Taiwanese news channel. Someone sent him. They're like, dude, have you seen this? He's like, what? Okay. Basically, they found out who he was. They found that he had stayed at the hotel. He had created a video in the hotel. Here I am at the Cecil Hotel. They basically like, we know you did it. We're coming to get you. You're going to pay for what you did, and all these crazy, crazy messages. And we're talking like thousands, if not millions of messages like that. And so he he came out with the video saying, look, I didn't do it. Now, his choice of video for that I didn't do it video was not great.
Him wearing a mask and he altered his voice.
Yeah, he was like...
But then again, that makes sense. If you're getting death threats, do you really want to give people what you look like or your voice? So,
right,
that kind of makes sense.
Yeah, I mean, you could have done the regular face makeup that you wore in all the other videos, but, it's fine.
And then the fucking worst part about it, when at the end everything gets explained of how it actually happened, the web sleuths are still fucking denying it for a little bit.
They're like, well, that's their conclusion.
Yeah, and not only that, not one of them. They did acknowledge that they ruined Morbid's life, but not fucking one of them offered an apology.
Right.
Not one. There was no remorse at all.
I know. And it sucks because, like, you know, all the guy wanted to do was fucking play some metal.
Yeah, that's
you
it.
know what I mean? Also, we talked about earlier how, you know, there's the mixed up facts in this documentary where, like, the lid was on, the lid was off. He stayed at the Cecil Hotel a year before she went there.
Yeah.
Like, they didn't look at the date of the video right or something. They're like, yeah, I was there like a year before she was there. I wasn't even there. I was in Mexico when she disappeared. And I was like, didn't sleuth that one out, did you? You know?
And then when the guy who did the autopsy and he's giving out the facts and he's telling people what had happened. And they're like, well,
that's just your opinion, man.
From what I've studied what?
Yeah.
YouTube
WebMD.
videos? This guy's got a fucking like degrees over here, but
I don't know.
You fucking know better.
I saw an episode of CSI, and they said that, you know, that level of decomp, you know, was more in line with like 48 hours in the water. So I don't know if he's right. It just doesn't make any sense.
I'll just take my degree and just fucking throw it away. This guy over here is watching crime shows.
You watch CSI. Well, how about that? I went to fucking 12 years of medical school, you piece of shit. Yeah, and how about when, you know, these web sleuth people who were like making YouTube careers off of misinformation,
fucking making money off of
going to the Cecil Hotel and like, this is where she spent her last moments. They like bribe a guard to go on the roof and stuff.
And that was the other
like,
crazy
look
thing.
At this. How could this girl climb up this fire escape and then over here climb up this other ladder, lift this heavy lid off of here? I'm like, well, yeah, she was having a mental breakdown.
Yeah,
you
and
fucking do some crazy shit.
She wasn't physically disabled.
I mean,
how weak do you think women are, bro? Like, damn. Yeah. No, I mean, yeah, but that was one thing the manager did say she did not expect was the surge of like how much new business they got after the she went missing. Like, yeah, those web sleuths coming in, they were like, yeah, we were making a ton of money, and they're like coming in and just trying to like do the button thing on the elevator. I'm like, oh look, it didn't hold like it did for her. It's like, well, maybe it's an old ass fucking hotel.
Yeah,
maybe you got a busted elevator and hers wasn't.
Yeah, not only that, but like, one of the things that's kind of eye-opening on it when they had the manager of the hotel kind of talking about the hotel and like what she went through when, you know, working there, is that like people die there all the time.
Yeah.
Like, what'd she say? It sounded like there was one every other month or so.
She said when she got the job, she didn't know it was her first hotel job, which is weird enough. They gave her a manager. But one of the handymans was taking her around, and they're like, someone died here. Someone died there. Someone committed suicide there.
3 guys died there. Yeah. That was a crazy day.
Heroin overdose over there.
Yeah.
Murder over there.
She's like, why don't you just point out the ones where people haven't died at?
Yeah, and then he just paused, and like he didn't really have an answer.
Yeah. I don't think anyone died in the lobby.
No, someone did. They were shot. Someone got murdered right in front.
Yeah. So, and no one like went crazy over those deaths, you know, because, you know, a lot of them were overdoses or, you know, violence or whatever. But they really latched on to the Elisa Lam one, you know, for one reason or another, probably because of the mysterious video.
It was the video for sure.
I think that's what really captured people's imaginations. And, you know, when you see something like that, it's fun to like think of like, oh, I wonder what happened. Maybe this happened. Maybe this happened. But I think when you get to the point that you're, first of all, ruining some poor musician's life, you know, cyberbullying them and jumping to conclusions, or you're, you know, feeding misinformation to millions of people with your own theories. And
just to get
theories.
more hits and subscribes.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, it's, I don't know. You kind of turn into a garbage person.
No, yeah, for sure. And then in the autopsy, it showed like there was no crazy drugs. Like there was no, they didn't find any like.
Well, that's the big thing is there was no drugs, and she was supposed to be on like a cocktail of antipsychotics, and mood stabilizers.
So the 4 prescription drugs that she was taking, it was in her system, but at the level of someone who either hasn't been taking them for a while or has been weaning themselves off,
Yeah.
which could cause, what we saw in the elevator.
Erratic behavior.
But the web sleuths who know better were like, no, that's bullshit from what I've read.
Yeah.
And same thing they did it with the other drugs. Like, oh, from what I've read, they don't test for all drugs. She could have been on something else that they didn't fucking find.
Yeah, I've seen enough Assassin's Creed videos where I know that there's untraceable poisons and such.
Oh, it was just it's so irritating seeing those fucking, like, people just trying to outright say that the experts don't know shit.
Yeah. And that's the thing is especially like when, going back to what I consider a very, very good true crime documentary, the Night Stalker, or like the Jinx or any of these other, really good things. A lot of times the experts know what they're doing, or they're at least on the right track. Now there's sometimes where, having some public opinion can help them think about things in a different way. So it's not to say that, there's no value in that, but when it gets to a point where the mythology of the case is bigger than the actual facts, and people start creating these different, different storylines in their heads, and really changing the facts to fit their own narrative, I think that's when it gets a little gross and a little counterproductive.
Oh, for sure.
Right. So would you recommend this one, Christian?
I would recommend it just so you can tell me what you think. Are we wrong? Were these web sleuths right? Are we the garbage people? They're the fucking experts? I don't know.
I would say 100% watch it just because I love watching people be wrong. It's my favorite.
It's
my favorite thing when they're like, yeah, so I don't know. Jury's still out, I guess. And I'm like, you fucking asshole. It's not.
I know which fucking guy you're talking about, and he was the fucking worst one. He was the worst one.
And
he also seemed like the one.
I like the guy who was a dentist student or whatever. He's like, yeah, I never actually got to go to this hotel, but a very close friend of mine went, and I, just having her there made me feel closer to Elisa. And I'm like, dude, blah, I fucking hate you.
Yeah, they were the fucking worst.
Dude, what the fuck? You didn't know this chick, from anyone. Like you just latched onto a viral video, and now you have a hard on for this case. Like, get a fucking life.
Also,
go back to medical school. Go back to dental school.
They waited till the end. Like, they had hinted that she was in the group area with the other youth travelers.
Sure.
And that they felt uncomfortable with her.
Yeah.
And then they just left it at that. And it wasn't till the end
that
they said where she was, like, leaving notes. Like,
I'm going to fucking kill you.
Well, it was like, get out.
Like, get out.
I hate you.
You don't belong here, or something like that,
It's like clearly, and also like, well, obviously that shows signs that she wasn't taking her medication, and the erratic hand gestures. People were saying like she's talking to someone or she's possessed. Her sister literally came out and said like, "I've seen her do that. She would do that when she wasn't on her medication.
Right.
It's not something new or strange."
Yeah, one of the medical experts, I forget if it was like a psychologist or the coroner or whatever. They were saying like, look, when people stop taking their meds abruptly or without, consulting a doctor and without taking it easy, they can have like paranoia.
Yeah.
They can hear voices and, see things that aren't there, and have this crazy erratic behavior. And, most of the times the solution is like, hey, go back on the meds. But if you're a young girl alone in a seedy hotel, and she kind of went there to kind of rebel against the parents kind of thing. She's probably like, fuck them. I don't want to take your drugs. And then, and a series of unfortunate events led to her, dying. She probably didn't intend to commit suicide. It was probably just like, we've all had those nights where we're on a few substances and we think like this idea is such a great idea. Like, I'm so hot. I'm just going to take my clothes off and jump into this pool that I found on the roof with a weird lid on it. And, and then that's a bad mistake. Luckily, most of us have friends around to pull us out of the pool or to help us put our clothes back on. But, unfortunately she didn't. And
that was the other thing they were saying, like, because, obviously water usage, the water levels go up and down. She may have gone in where she couldn't reach the top. She couldn't get out. You know.
Right. Yeah. Well, yeah, it's a big giant tank and like it's easy to get in, but to get out is very, very tough. You ever make a rat trap like that? You ever done
No,
that?
but I've seen them.
Yeah, where you take a milk carton and you cut the top off a milk carton, you put peanut butter around the edge, and then you put water down below. And the rat goes in because he's like, peanut butter. And then he falls in, and then you have a drowned rat, and then you don't have a rat problem anymore.
I saw someone did it with like oil, but not enough to drown it. Enough where like he got slippery and he couldn't like get out.
Oh yeah, that's probably a better solution. I mean, water worked fine. Yeah, it's really unfortunate. What happened to her, and I don't think we should be happy I guess we should be relieved that it wasn't something more malicious, right?
Yeah.
Like
for whatever sick reason, people wanted her to be raped. They wanted her to like be murdered. Like
they wanted it to be something like seedy and like dark and depraved. But unfortunately, sometimes sometimes our own minds are our worst enemies.
Yeah.
And I think that unfortunately is what happened to her. I'll say I do recommend watching the series just because there's really nothing else to watch right now. But I think that inside that 4-hour series, there's actually a good documentary. I think there's a lot of unnecessary stuff in it.
Yeah, I think if you edit out half of it, you got a good one.
And I don't know if they were getting paid by the minute or what to make this documentary for Netflix or whoever. But I think they definitely padded the runtime with a lot of unnecessary stuff, like the web sleuths. I would have liked a taste of that, just to wet the palate. I love these terrible people.
I guess I could enjoy the fact that I hate them.
Yeah. Right. But I mean, leading the documentary like these guys are going to solve this fucking murder. Everyone wants to be that guy who like figures it fucking out. Like the chick from Serial who actually found, new evidence and stuff about that one, or making a murder.
And that's what was great, because she was finding new evidence or pointed out the inconsistencies that the police did. There was nothing inconsistent or wrong that the police did.
Yeah.
I mean, they lost the trail. The dog managed to find the trail and went out the window.
Yeah.
They should have maybe done a little bit harder look on the roof.
Right.
And they admitted that, like, we fucked up on that part.
Right.
We did check the roof. We checked with the helicopter. No one checked the tanks.
Right. Yeah. And, it's just one of those oversights. I mean, it's a huge building.
Yeah.
It was something like 15, 16 stories or something. No, 13th floor.
And apparently, I learned this not through the documentary, but reading about it again. So the police officers actually wanted to go inside every room, but they were not allowed to because they needed probable cause. So I was like, So they also felt like they didn't do a good enough job, like, inside the building, which is why they kept focusing inside the building, because they couldn't get into every room.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not far-fetched to think that in a rough neighborhood and a kind of a seedy hotel, that something bad could have happened for, like, externally. Like some guy could have abducted her
or girl. Don't be sexist.
Or girl. Yeah, that's true. Or centaur. Yeah, someone could have abducted her or kidnapped her, murdered her, whatever. It's not implausible, but at the same time, once you're presented with the facts, like you got to kind of accept like what happened. And it seems like what we should do is we should check on these guys' YouTube channels and see if they're still talking about it.
I'm sure they're not talking about it, but I'm sure they're continuing following some other bullshit.
Yeah. But yeah, watch it. Let us know what you think. I'd say if you're new to true crime documentaries, there's a lot better places to start. Like if you go back like 4 episodes ago, where we do our true crime doc, like rundown about the Night Stalker.
That was a good one.
Night Stalker's great. Jinx is great. Making a Murder is great. The Anan Saeed story or whatever is.
Serial.
Yeah, Serial's the podcast, but there's a video version on HBO that's good. And then The Staircase. All really good, solid true crime documentaries. Not a lot of this extra BS.
There's actually a lot of good ones on Scientology, too. Panorama did a really good one.
Oh, the Going Clear documentary on Scientology. I mean, I guess, yes, technically crimes have been committed by the
commit fucking hella crimes. Hella fucking crimes.
I wouldn't consider it a true crime documentary. It's not like, we're going to the in and out of the evidence and the court cases. It's...
Dude, L. Ron Hubbard was trying to infiltrate into the U.S. government Like,
Yeah.
he wanted.
Oh, I'm not saying it's not fascinating, but I would consider that like cult documentaries. You know?
I guess. Yeah, that's a good point.
You know, like Jamestown or the Waco one.
Okay,
You know,
that's fair.
that kind of stuff. Or Wild Wild Country. Have you seen that one?
No.
Christian, watch Wild Country.
Is that the one where the guy was tricking in
The Rajneesh in Oregon.
Yes.
With
he was sleeping with all the guys, right?
I think he was sleeping with all the ladies, if I remember.
Oh,
maybe there was guys in there too. I don't know. That guy seemed like he knew how to party. He had like 13 Rolls Royces.
It was no.
The Paquan.
What's the one that I'm thinking? It's like he had started off doing gay porn and then
It was not that guy.
And then he started religion and like people followed him and he tricked a lot of people.
Yes, I mean that sounds plausible too. No, Wild Wild Country, also available on Netflix. It happened in Oregon in the 70s, I want to say. Yeah, I think it was the 70s. Because a lot of the people are still involved.
Is that the one with the crazy Indian lady was his second in command?
Yes.
Okay, yes, I did see that.
Oh, so good.
That was a good one.
Shiva.
I hated her so fucking much.
I loved her. I like a powerful woman.
She was the fucking worst.
Dude, she was like so evil. I loved it.
Very fucking evil.
And she was like apparently she posed naked in some magazine. I'm just like, where do I get that magazine? No, yeah, it was just so nuts. So it's about this, basically, it's essentially a cult. Where it starts with the following of this Indian guru guy, and he gains a bunch of like hippy dippy followers from the U.S.
and Australia,
and they decide to create like their own society. So they buy this ranch.
I've never felt so bad for old white people.
Oh man,
in that town.
They called him Osho, and they're like, yeah, I just, I think about Osho sometimes, and there's like a old man crying about it. I'm like, what the fuck?
I mean the town folk that are.
Oh, the townsfolk,
the actual town,
the
folk.
Oregon small town.
Yeah,
in
I
Oregon.
felt so fucking bad for those people. They're like, I hate these foreigners and outsiders. I'm like, you're kind of right on this one. I can't fucking like.
You can't always be wrong.
Yeah.
Sometimes the foreigners are up to something. That's for sure.
Never thought I'd be on your side.
Yeah.
But you're right.
It's gonna make you look at outsiders differently, Christian. But yeah, they basically create like their own society, like their own city, and they incorporate to become a city or a town. And then there's plots to like poison nearby water sources.
Dude, and the fact
it's awesome.
They were manipulating the voting system. Like they brought in homeless people so they can
they bust in homeless people to get more votes.
And
then they bust them out and dropped them on the street.
In the beginning, they were like, oh, this is awesome. Like, we're getting food. We're getting fed. They were giving them like meditation and yoga. And they were like, oh, these people really care about us.
And they're like, nah, get these hobos out of here.
Fuck out of here. We got your vote. Get the fuck out of here.
People. They call them street people.
And they just bust them out.
Jesus Christ. Man. Wild, wild country, guys. That is a documentary and a half. I fucking love that.
That's a long one though, but a well-deserved long one.
Well-deserved. Like every episode, I'm like, what the fuck? They're like, oh yeah, now we got AK-47s.
Yeah, that was fucking.
Oh fuck!
You're this peaceful religion, but you can't like when you get guns. You're like, oh no, it makes sense.
It's fantastic, and like the main dude was just like, I don't know, he was like doing heroin or whatever, or doing cocaine. Driving in his Rolls Royces and just like having huge orgies and stuff. Meanwhile, his second in command, which I think her name is Shiva or
I don't know. I remember her face.
Yeah.
I still hate it.
She's the best. They talk to her in the documentary.
A lot.
Because she's in like Switzerland where she can't be extradited.
Also, another person never apologized.
Yeah.
Never said fucking sorry. She was just like, nah, yeah, I was totally right for doing that. Absolutely.
Yeah. Look, we did what we had to do. If some people got in the way, some people got in the way. I'm like, Jesus Christ, you sound like a mob boss.
Yeah, they were like, oh, so we definitely have to murder this person for sure. It's like, who should we get to do it?
Look, we told them, don't fuck with us. They fucked with us, so we poisoned their water well. Yeah. They're like, oh shit, Shiva. Is Shiva?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. I don't want to. That could be the girl from the League, the Shiva trophy.
Trophy?
Yeah, Shiva Krimini. But yeah, anyway, that chick, you'll know when you watch it. She is the best. Yeah, what a good doc. I want more of that. Not less of like.
I got to find out the name of the one I'm talking about so you can watch it.
Yeah, the gay porn guy who starts a cult. I love cult videos or cult docs. I just love watching people like getting manipulated because because I just don't understand it.
I like it, and particularly after
Don't
they
get me-
realized they were fooled.
Yeah.
The interviews after, and they're like, I was a fucking idiot. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking.
Like, don't get me wrong. You know, I've fallen prey to certain advertising. I tried the new Mountain Dew today for no reason. I'm
There's
not
a
even
new Mountain Dew?
Yeah, they did it on the Super Bowl. It's a melon flavor.
You know, actually,
Wasn't great.
second nerdy confession, I actually like Mountain Dew.
I like Mountain Dew too.
So many
it's
people
just
talk
so much
shit.
sugar. I don't do sugary sodas anymore. But I saw it and I remember I'm like thinking in the commercial, I'm like, oh, that sounds really good, like a melony soda. I love those like green melon sodas from Japan. Those are fucking good. But I tried one and I'm like, man, it's okay. You know,
Like Midori would be awesome. You know?
fuck Midori. I get fucked up on Midori. That's some green power juice for sure. Cool. Well, let us know in the comments, guys. What did you think of the crime scene vanishing at the Cecil Hotel? And like, do you think these true crime sleuths are full of shit, or was that your favorite part, like it was for me? Let us know in the comments. And what do you think happened to Elisa Lam? Post it down below.
Yeah, those fucking doctors don't know shit.
They don't know anything. She's still out there. That body was a plant.
I'm actually fucking surprised that wasn't a thing.
No, I'm sure it was. It didn't make the cutting room floor.
I saw Stranger Things. I know how they fucking do it.
Yeah. There's an alternate dimension, and the Cecil Hotel's at the center of it. I've seen Ghostbusters. Up on the roof, there's these two dogs, and they lead to a different dimension, and Zool's there, and he's going to fuck shit up.
I buy it.
Yeah, I buy it.
I buy your fucking theory more
Pretty
over
good,
theirs.
right? Yeah, I just came up with that off the top of my head because it's true. That's why it's so buyable. But yeah, let us know what you guys think. Of course, you can check out nerdswithfriendspodcast.com for all of our info. Give us a follow on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook. Or, of course, check out patreon.com/nerdswithfriends and show us some support there. And again, thanks to our new patrons, Michael and Mark. You guys are true rock stars. We really appreciate you helping make this show what it is. And Christian, thank you for always being my true crime buddy.
For hating the fuck out of this shit.
Yeah, I love it. And to all the nerds out there, remember, you're not alone. You're with friends. This is Nerds with Friends. Thank you, and good night.